After 2020 robbed us of any new Marvel content on the big screen, we finally have our first look at the long line of Disney Plus Marvel TV shows with WandaVision. Let's talk about it. Hey everybody, Dan here. This is Dan Reviews It, and a special TV review for WandaVision, the new show on Disney Plus from Marvel Studios. Usually, I do a TV wrap up every week with 3, 4, 5 brand new series, but I thought, you know what, this is something very special. Certainly one of the most anticipated shows of the year because it is the first new Marvel content we've gotten in a long time. There was sort of a show on Hulu for a little bit in the fall called Hellstrom that was terrible, got bad reviews, and I'm not exactly sure if it was even part of the MCU, but this most certainly is. It is part of Phase 4, and it is the first of many Marvel shows on Disney Plus that will be appearing in 2021, 2022, and beyond. They just keep announcing more shows for it. So I thought, you know what, this show deserves a standalone review. And, I'll probably do a little wrap up on this week's TV news and reviews. But most of my reviews there last about 5 to 7 minutes. And this, I feel like we really need to dive in a little bit more with these characters. And especially because, look, Marvel is huge. We were supposed to get Black Widow in 2020, among other things. And that just didn't happen. And this actually was supposed to debut in 2020 as well. But got sidelined by COVID in the spring, and then they resumed filming in the fall so we could finally have a completed product. So the first 2 episodes of this are up now on Disney Plus. It's going to be 9 episodes total, and that's it. It is listed as a mini series only, not as a full series. So after these 9 episodes, that will likely be the end of WandaVision. Of course, we know how TV works. If it is a huge hit and everybody loves it, maybe, they could be open to new things, depending on what happens at the end. I mean, I guess if everybody dies in the 9th episode, then maybe not. But we've certainly seen stranger things from the MCU thus far. So even if they do all die, maybe not. But basically, this show takes place after the events of Endgame, and it features Wanda Maximoff, which is Elizabeth Olsen. Scarlet Witch is what we really know her as in the MCU, along with Vision. They are a lovely couple, and they're just in this TV show living this suburban life in a fictional town called Westview, trying to conceal their powers. And this show is largely an homage to classic television sitcoms. Most notably, I would say the Dick Van Dyke Show, Bewitched, a little bit of The Munsters even, maybe, and maybe a touch of I Love Lucy, but I think it's more along the lines of Dick Van Dyke and Bewitched than anything. And the 60s was a huge time on TV for sitcoms to just be outlandish and crazy and just explore things that could never exist in reality. My Favorite Martian, Gilligan's Island, Bewitched, I Dream of Jeannie, The Addams Family, The Monsters, all of that, and then some, many, many more. But here we have Elizabeth Olsen back as the Wanda character, and Paul Bettany reprising his role as Vision. And I have to say, when I first heard that this was going to happen, I thought, well, I don't think I'm going to be interested in that at all, because Scarlet Witch is one of my least favorite characters in all of the MCU. I think Elizabeth Olsen can be good in some things. I've seen her, in movies that she's done very well in. I've also seen her, not so great in movies. But Scarlet Witch is one of my least favorite characters. The accent is all over the place. We don't really learn anything about her because, she never had her own movie. So we just sort of saw how she was through the eyes of other people, or, we just didn't really get answers at all about where her powers came from or who she is or anything like that. Now, granted, she first appears in my least favorite Avengers film, which is Age of Ultron. It's not the least my least favorite in all of the Marvel Universe, but it's my least favorite of the Avengers films. And I've only seen it once. So, to be honest, maybe they reveal a little bit more than I remember, because I saw it one time in theaters, so it was, 7 years ago or something. But this show is going to be a real look into how she got her powers. From everything I've read about it, she was very excited to do it because it's going to really give her an identity that she doesn't feel, that Olsen doesn't feel like Scarlet Witch had in the Avengers movies, and I could not agree more. So, all right, that's fine. And when I saw it was an homage to '60s sitcoms, then I was really on board. All right, let's see what this has to offer. So, basically, in these first two episodes, and I'm not going to do spoilers. I don't do spoilers on new TV series, so I'll try to tread delicately about what we talk about here. But essentially, episode 1, we sort of set the stage here about these newlyweds and their new life in Westview, and we don't exactly have a time frame, but it appears to be somewhere in the 50s or 60s, and Vision goes to work as a human being. He changes form and looks like a normal human, and a lot of hilarity ensues there. The boss comes over, who, by the way, his boss is played by Fred Melamede, who I'm not sure if you're familiar with him. I wouldn't know him by name, but he's been in so many different things. One of my favorite things he did was this movie called In a World with Lake Bell. He plays her father. But he's been in, so many movies and TV shows. He was in, Casual over on Hulu. He was in Brooklyn Nine-Nine for a little bit. He was a regular on Lady Dynamite. So he's been in many, many things, sometimes just for a couple episodes or whatever. But he was perfectly cast here because he is just like the gentleman who was the boss on the Dick Van Dyke Show. He also played Lumpy's father on Leave It to Beaver. He also played on this other '60s show called The Mothers-in-Law. And this Fred Melamede just kind of embodies that spirit, and he looks a lot like them. So that was just brilliant casting. His wife is played by Deborah Jo Rupp from that '70s show, and who also, is pretty good casting, sort of the doting wife of one of those '50s or '60s shows. But basically, they have them over for dinner, and things get kind of crazy. It's typical sitcom-y stuff, and we don't really get any sense other than the sitcom homage of what this show is about, except for the very, very end of the episode. And I don't think this is too spoilery because I still don't know what it means. But they basically, as the credits are starting to roll for this fake show, we pull out and we go back into widescreen, because most of the show is in the original aspect ratio of these 50s and 60s shows. The box, because of course widescreen TVs didn't exist then. They zoom out and we see somebody at some sort of control board, but all we see is really his hand. We don't even know if it's a man or a woman, really. So I say his hand, but it could be a woman's hand. And then it goes into color for the credits. That's it. That's the only aspect we get of that first episode that something is amiss on, in Westview or whatever. So then in episode 2, we have them doing some sort of talent show to support the elementary school in town, and we meet sort of the queen bee of the moms, and basically we have Vision and Wanda doing some sort of magic show, and of course they can actually do magic, but they need the audience to realize that they're not really magic, so they purposely, try to set up some things. Oh, yeah, you can see strings there, or whatever. But this, we get actually a little bit more in depth with the mystery element of the show, because several things happen in episode 2 that are definitely like, okay, now we're not just doing an homage to these old sitcoms. Now we're actually following through on some of the more mysterious promises of the premise of the show. We see a few things randomly in color, It actually reminded me of the movie Pleasantville a lot, which is in itself an homage to 50s television a bit. The Reese Witherspoon, Tobey Maguire movie from 97, I think, maybe 98, but somewhere in the late 90s. Great movie, by the way, if you've not seen it. But there again, we had a whole black and white life until color was sort of developed, and so here we just see color in little spurts, and I don't want to say right now through what means, but it definitely adds to the mystery element. And then by the end of episode 2, we actually kind of fast forward a little bit in time, and we may no longer be in the 50s and 60s, and that's all I can really say about that. But again, I don't really know much more than that myself, so I don't even think those are spoilers. I think those are just things that happened that I have no idea what they mean yet, and I think we won't find out for quite a bit. So let's talk about what I feel about this show. One thing I didn't mention, though, before I do that, is Catherine Hahn is in this as the neighbor Agnes. She's like the classic nosy neighbor on television. Of course, Dick Van Dyke Show had one. Lucy, of course, had Ethel, and so on and so forth. But she's great. I love Catherine Hahn in just about everything. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen her in anything I didn't like, but I first took notice of her probably about 10 years ago when she started appearing in every other comedy movie she was in. She appears in Bad Words and We're the Millers and a lot of the R-rated comedies of the 2010s. But she's great here playing that role pitch perfect from all of the sitcom stars of that era. And I do know this. We haven't seen them quite yet, but there will be some direct tie-ins to the MCU because Kat Dennings from the Thor movies and Randall Park from the Ant-Man movies will both apparently be in this at some point. So that's always good. But other than that, we have no direct ties yet to the MCU. So how did this show work for me? Well, okay. I think I'm not quite the base audience for this movie, for this show. I love most of the MCU movies. I am all in on the MCU. I think Endgame was brilliant. I think many of the movies leading up to Endgame are in that A minus, maybe even A plus range for some of them. So I'm a fan of most of the movies. However, I would say I'm even a bigger fan of classic television. It's what I was raised on. It was what I was weaned on, Nick at Night, and then, of course, all those shows were in reruns constantly in the afternoons and stuff, Gilligan's Island and Dick Van Dyke and the Brady Bunch and the Munsters and all of that. So for me, I was looking at this more as how is this working as an homage? How is this working as maybe a satire of those shows? And I think on that aspect, it works great. However, I'm not sure if the typical Marvel fan, certainly one that's under the age of, let's say, 30, really was weaned on any of that. I mean, I feel like obviously none of those shows were on when I was, originally, none of those shows were on originally when I was alive, but we saw them in reruns. And I think in the last 20, 25 years, they've not really been as ubiquitous as they were when I was a kid. Part of the reason is because everybody has so many more options now, And I think about my nephew, who is a huge MCU fan. He follows all the movies. He, in fact, had me give him my Disney Plus code so he could share it, just so he could watch the MCU movies all over again. But I don't think he really, he's 15. I don't think he really knows anything about Bewitched or the Munsters or Dick Van Dyke. So I'm not sure if this will hit him the same way as it hit me. Now, as we get more into it, maybe as the mystery unfolds and as we sort of reveal how it lines up with the Avengers, I can see somebody like him enjoying it more. But at this point in time, there's almost nothing. Really the only things other than Wanda and Vision existing that really line up with the MCU is there's one fake commercial in each episode, and Stark Industries sponsors the toaster, or makes the toaster in the first commercial, and in the second commercial it's something with, it's like a watch company, but it says, what does it say on there? From Captain America. Now I can't even think of it. Not Shield, the opposite of Shield. Hold on. Now I have to look it up because I feel like an idiot. I don't know. Anyway, well, it'll come to me or it won't. I don't know. I can't see it here, but I tried to look it up. It didn't work. But anyway, you know what I'm talking about. When Hydra. That's what am I, an idiot? Hail Hydra, of course. But anyway, so other than those little sort of Easter eggs, I guess you could call them, there's no direct correlation. So I don't know how somebody that isn't really invested in 60s sitcoms is going to appreciate this. They may stick with it because, okay, it's MCU, it's going to tie together, it's going to be good over the next 7 weeks or whatever. But I don't know how people really are going to feel about it that don't sort of know their TV history or care about their TV history and just want the Marvel stuff. Because with that in mind, it is definitely a slower build. Did they need that stuff in the first episode with the boss from the company coming over for dinner in a classic sitcom trope? No, I suppose they didn't. But obviously they have sort of a plan laid out. It's interesting to me they only released the first 2 episodes. I guess that's what they usually do, right? On Disney Plus. Like, I feel like with The Mandalorian, maybe it's the same. But like Apple TV Plus will release the first 3 episodes. This is a show, especially because it's only a half hour, that I think maybe would have been more helpful to release the first 3. Because obviously by the end of the second episode, they're really, really sort of dangling some mysterious elements in front of us. So I don't know, maybe the 3rd episode that first day would have been helpful. I think it would. But everything about the whole 60s vibe and the era that they're looking at on the homage front is great. I mean, they've got the patter down and the types of things people are saying and the way they're saying them and the stances and having the 2 beds apart because husband and wife couldn't share a bed back then on television. All of that is well done. It's very tongue-in-cheek. And I am a fan of those shows and can still laugh at them, even though, they're a little bit sexist now, some of them. But I can certainly get some chuckles out of that. I got some chuckles out of this. But I just don't know if it will hit the same for people who aren't as invested in the history of television as I am. So for that, I think it definitely does itself a disservice by being so slow-moving. But I have faith that they will expand on this and really start breaking us in to the MCU more directly in the upcoming episodes. Elizabeth Olsen, I think, is great here. I have taken away kind of all my reservations, and I like to go into things with an open mind, even if I don't necessarily like a character or something, but this one I was like, we'll see. But she won me over immediately, and like I said, she's not a bad actress. I just thought that the Scarlet Witch character just was wholly underdeveloped, and her accent going all over the place did drive me nuts. So that was certainly her acting there. But I think she's great, and her and Bettany really do have a great chemistry together that I think we saw in Infinity War. So I like that. But how this relates to the MCU in the time frame, I don't know. Obviously, they're going to speed us along because at the end of the second episode, we're already into the 70s from what I could figure out. So, maybe each episode we're advancing a decade. I don't really know. But I think for any MCU fan, this will be a welcome change because it's like nothing we've ever seen before. Now, I will freely admit, even though I've seen all the movies, I have not seen any of the shows. Well, is that true? I saw part of the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. when it first started, but I'm not even sure if I saw a full episode. But I didn't see Daredevil. I didn't see Jessica Jones. I know. I've been told I would like some of these things, but there's a lot of TV on. What can I say? And so I made sort of the conscious effort. All right, if either I'm going to watch all of the TV Netflix stuff, the Netflix Marvel stuff, or I'm not going to watch any of it. I decided to kind of not watch any of it. So it didn't seem to affect my enjoyment of the movies too much, so why not? But now that we've been over a year without any new Marvel stuff, I don't mind watching all of these Disney Plus shows, really, and certainly this one among them. So I think for people that are thirsting for their Marvel stuff, I think they'll all find something to like in this. If it's not directly the 60s homage to television, it will be the mystery of, okay, I'm waiting here. How does this fit in? How is this going to be part of the MCU? Let me know. But I think people will still stick with it because it's a new Marvel item. But overall, I think this is a very, very valiant first effort from Disney Plus on the Marvel TV front. I know we have a lot of shows coming, like I said, between 2021 and 2022 and beyond. But for a first effort, I really enjoy this. For now, I'm going to leave WandaVision with a B+. Again, I think it is a little slow moving, and I don't know how it will affect younger viewers that really have no idea about what a pitch perfect homage this really is to the television of that early era. But I think they'll enjoy it just the same, maybe just for other reasons than I enjoyed it. I don't know. But anyway, that's it. Like I said, I do a weekly TV news and reviews show, and I take a look at all of the new series for the week. So if you are a TV fan, you may want to check that out. I would love to have you watching that all the time as well. And every so often I will do a long-form review of a show that I think deserves more than the 5 to 7 minutes I give on that show. And WandaVision, I think, was certainly one of them. I mean, I could probably run off at the mouth another 10 minutes about it, but I'll leave it there. And that's it. Please subscribe below if you enjoyed this video. Like the video as well if you did like it. And comment, too. What did you think of WandaVision? Am I way off? Are you 20 and loved the 60s homage feel to it? Let me know. But otherwise, we will see you back here very soon with another review show. And have a great day. Bye.